Everybody, thanks for watching and thanks for taking the time to purchase and support. And welcome to Book 10 in the Biblical Bible series, which is 2 Samuel. We're going to go back and just look a little bit at 1 Samuel and other books a little bit. And just remember what happened. So end off in 1 Samuel with basically the Hebrews, the Israelites, doing whatever they want to do. Basically disobeying God continually. Remember in Judges, God sends in judges to basically judge Israel and save them from their enemies. But judge after judge, 40 years later, the people sin again and keep on doing evil. And as I pointed out, you would think, God save you and save you from your enemies. You would be true to his word and listen to what he got to say. But it keeps happening over and over again. And we see in 1 Samuel, God sends Samuel in to basically, straighten people out. And Samuel does so, get the people on the right track. But he starts getting old. And the people are like, you get ready to die soon. We want you to basically appoint a king. And Samuel's like, no, you don't need a king. All you need to do is just basically trust in God, and God will basically deliver you and save you. Follow the commandments of Moses, follow God. That's all you need. And the people are like, no, we want a human ruler, king to lead us. So, God is pissed and he sends him Saul. And Saul is evil. He only really care about, pleasing the people more than pleasing God. He basically doesn't teach the people about God and following God's commandments. And, Saul basically leads them to, a path of destruction where they, getting conquered over again. God eventually sends David. And Saul is, of course, jealous of David. And he tries to kill David multiple times, even though he promised not to kill David. He tries to kill him again. Until eventually Saul dies and David takes over. But, as we're going to get into more with 2 Samuel is David and his rulership. But, first, 2 Samuel, really important books. 2 Samuel is especially important, as well as 1 Kings, which is next, because of what it means to Jews and Christians as far as what the book is saying. It's a lot of information in there that really pertains to Jews and Christians, as to where, the origin of a lot of the main focal points of their doctrine begins at. And a lot of it is in 1st, 2nd Samuel, Kings, and 2nd Kings, which they were once all one book, one story. Of course, they've broken up in these 4 different books. The Masonic version is important, which is basically like a King James version, but, the Masons use this for a reason, which you'll see in 1 Kings, which is the next book after this. But 2 Samuel, we're going to get into this and look at what's taking place and a lot of the contradictions and issues with this book. And it's a lot to it. So, let's get into this. So now, 2 Samuel, let's go verse 1. Now it came to pass, after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, a man come out of the camp of Saul with his clothes rent, which tattered, ripped up, and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance, which means like to pay homage. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered that the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are falling and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me, and called unto me. And I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord. So now we know, if you read 1 Samuel 31, remember, either this guy is completely lying, or this is a huge contradiction. And it doesn't really come up that, it doesn't say that the guy is telling a lie to glorify himself and so on and so forth. He's saying this is what happened. And then when you understand the story, it's if he came and he saw Saul, and Saul spoke to him, asked him to kill him, either he was there and he's seen what happened with Saul and the armor bearer, and he's just lying about the story, or it's a huge contradiction. So when you go back and read 1 Samuel 31, it says here, now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his son. And the Philistines slew Jonathan and Abinadab and Melchishua, Saul's son. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. And Saul said unto his armor bearer, draw thy sword and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer could not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, so the armor bearer seeing that Saul is dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men that same day together. So remember, the Amalekite said that he seen him thrust upon his spear. It says in 1 Samuel 31 that he fell upon his sword, and that's how he died, and that he was dead, and that the armor bearer killed himself after that, and that they was dead, and everybody was dead. So how did he come after the fact and say he was, fell upon his spear, and so on and so forth? So contradiction. The Amalekite is probably lying, and if you continue to read, it's probably he was probably trying to get favor with David, hoping that David would give him some kind of reward for saying that he killed Saul. But David does not. David just basically has him killed for doing that, because remember, no matter what Saul did to David, David still respected Saul because he was anointed of God, supposedly. And he was pissed that he was dead. So we're going to keep going and get into this whole thing, because there's a lot that happens once Saul's dead, and then you have David basically taking control of Israel for a period of time, but not without dilemma. Now 2 Samuel is important for Christians for the whole forgiveness thing. I mean, really, 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, all these books we've been reading, when you think about it, you're talking about the ultimate disrespect to God and the ultimate, wrongdoing, in front of God, and still being forgiven and still being looked at as chosen. So a lot of the Christians and Jews look at this as we can do anything. It's the scapegoat book. We can do whatever we want. We could sin, and God's still going to forgive us. This is why Christians live their life the way they do. They say they're for God and they're going to do this and that for God, but then we look at their lives and they're continually sinning against God. Because one, now I doubt they even read the book to know this, but most of them, the ones who do, understand this part, or they heard it in church. But when you're reading, these books, the first 9 books, when you get into 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, as we is now, and Judges, we continually see these people sinning and being forgiven. And David is like the poster boy for Judaism, Christianity. He is the foundation. His generation he's the foundation for his generation that's going to lead to the birth of Solomon and, of course, Jesus Christ. So if David is looked at, as I said, the poster boy, everything is about David. And David's crazy. David's a sinner. And when you understand, how he is, and most of these people they sick, they crazy. And one of the things the Bible is trying to show you, that one, God's chosen people, is something wrong with them. That you can be sick, you can be crazy, you can sin against God, you can do whatever, but because you are chosen, because you repent, because you do right by God, eventually God can forgive you. So this lets people, these regular Christians we see walking around sinning and listening to stuff they ain't supposed to be listening to, and doing things they ain't supposed to be doing. This allows them, when they read in these chapters, to be like, David did it, everybody else is doing it. They know God is real. They sinning and God is forgiving them. So people looking at this as we can just do whatever we want and sin, but they're not reading the book, so they don't understand the consequences of that. So you have David, completely crazy, on and off. He gets it right later on, as we'll talk about. But these people, David, Saul, and I don't understand how some people look at Saul and favor Saul. Saul is given a lot of credit later on, as we'll see. But David is the one who is the foundation, as I said, for Christianity and for Judaism. And remember, as we'll see here, God reestablishes his covenant through David, with Israel, so that his generations will live on and basically be the foundation for his church and for what will later be Christianity. So David he's huge. He's huge. And Judaism, Christianity, and Islam as well, when you understand. But you got to take a look at God's chosen people. Even when you go back, you look at Lot. Remember, Lot's daughters, they basically get him drunk so they can have sex with him and impregnate themselves. Later, you had, remember, Lot's son, Ben-Ami. He marries one of Lot's daughters, one of the ones who tried to get him drunk and have sex with him. So his son marries his sister, and they are the foundation for the Ammonites, which we'll talk about later on as well. So their whole generation is from that. So you have so many generations of people coming from sick people. And even when you look at Moses, remember Moses was telling the Israelites to kill all the men, children, kill them all, but save the women, children for yourself. We're talking about people who ate their babies, sick people. This is what they want to pound home in the beginning and get you to understand that these people have done unspeakable, crazy, insane stuff, yet God has forgiven them. And this, as you'll see later on, jumps into the whole thing with, the Bible being in the prison, Bible being in the court system, and people being able to do whatever they want and ask for forgiveness and be forgiven for their sins. But when you think about it, and even just the rationality of God himself, because you have other people that's doing far less things, and one, they don't get talked about, but God is not destroying them. God is not treating them the way he's treated, some of these other people. But you'll see, and even after the whole out of Egypt thing with the Exodus, which was bullshit, of course, Egypt still stands. Egypt is still ruling. And as you continue to read through the Old Testament, you'll see a lot of stuff where Egypt comes into play. And it's like, okay, after all that, how is Egypt even dealing with the Israelites? And this is trying to give validity to the Hebrews. But, let's continue. So now, as we see with everybody sinning and doing crazy things, and God just keep giving them chance after chance after chance. And it's that same thing that David tries to embody when he's basically dealing with Saul. Even though Saul tried to kill him on multiple occasions and did unspeakable crazy things to the people, and he did evil stuff, remember, God sent an evil spirit onto him as well. So we talked about that. But David still has an attitude that Saul is like this great person because he's anointed. He's saying here in 23, Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, which was not true. And in their death, they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothe you in scarlet with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of battle, O Jonathan, thou wilt slain in thy high places. Which, as we know, Saul tries to kill David multiple occasions. So for him to be saying this is like, dude, this dude tried to kill you multiple times. What's going on? This is to put upon your mind that no matter what happens and what you do, as long as you're walking with God and everything is cool with you and God, that you're supposed to be forgiven, which is bullshit. So this is what they want to press upon people when this is being taught in 2 Samuel. Because as I said, if you read it straight through, there's no way you're going to read this and look at everything Saul did and look at what's going on and say, one, you're going to say God is crazy. Like, what the hell is he doing? Like, these people are sick, kill them all and start over. Two, what the hell is the other people that you killing doing that's so bad that's worse than eating babies and sacrificing people and all this crazy stuff that these people have been doing? What are the other tribes doing or other people on the planet doing that's worse than what these Israelites is doing? And all they are simply doing is not worshiping the God of the Bible, that if he was God and the creator, they will be worshiping him. If he's powerful and everything like that, as he should be doing with the Hebrews, he should just be coming down and talking to the people and saying, this is why we need to do that, instead of going through men. As he could see that these people are obviously crazy and that they're not going to follow what he's doing. It's been, centuries, and these people, he's done so much for them, and these people are still going against him. So this is to press upon your mind, no matter what. This is supposed to be how it is and how God is, which don't make sense. Okay, so Saul's dead. David mourns him, sings songs and everything like that. Then he heads to Hebron, where the northern tribe of Judah basically anoints him king. Now remember, Saul had a commander, Abner. Abner basically is in control of Saul's, last remaining son, who is Ishbosheth. So Ishbosheth is basically getting support now. And they gather support from the southern tribe of Judah. And they basically anoint Ishbosheth king. So you have in the north, David, king, being anointed by the northern tribe of Judah. And then Abner gained support for Ishbosheth since he is, Saul's son. And they crown him king. And of course, they clash. So they have little battles, skirmishes back and forth, because one wants to be recognized over the other. So it says here, and this is 2 Samuel 3, 6-12. I'm going to read real quick. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And they call it the house of Saul because Ishbosheth is still Saul's son and still Saul's house. And Saul had a concubine, whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? Basically asking him, did you have sex with my father's concubine? Because when a crown is passed down from, father to son, the son basically inherits everything from the king, including his concubine. So it's like saying, why are you sleeping with my girl? Basically what he's saying to Abner, who basically got him crowned king. Then Abner was very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth and said, am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hands of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? Basically saying that, did I not do all this stuff for you and get you crowned king, and I've been respectful to your father's house and everything like that, to your family? Why are you accusing me of this?